Welcome to my new page. The page is called the PME Coach. First page you're going to see this is on Facebook, but I'm going to be using many different other social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram. There will also be a website and a blog created and connected to this page at some point. Now, what is it I'm trying to address with this page? Well, PME stands for physical, mental and emotional. I'm trying to create something that provides information, an outlet that provides information for other people that are going through mental and emotional struggles in their life, which in this day and age is a large majority of people. It seems to be a worldwide epidemic. But I also want to incorporate the physical aspect as well, because what makes up a human being is the physical aspect, the mental aspect and the emotional aspect. It's the three pillars that define a human being. The physical, which is the one I'm going to start with first, is our body, and it's this body that allows us to experience this reality. Now, unfortunately, in this current day and age, we are living very sedentary lives, which means we're sitting around a lot, we're engaged in our gadgets, we're watching TV, we're not actually being active, we're not actually out, we're not actually being mobile. And this is leading to sort of profound implications within the physical body. Not only this, but we also have the mental and the emotional aspect of ourselves, which is also becoming almost like the body becomes a dumping ground for our mental and emotional problems. Now, all emotion is stored within the body, and as we accumulate this emotion over the years, our bodies become very tense, they become very uptight, but they also become the byproduct of our mental and emotional trauma, because we then turn our body into like a waste ground for our emotional releases, and we do this through a drug addiction and unhealthy eating and just general lack of care for the physical aspect of ourselves. And the physical aspect is always a reflection of the mental and emotional states. So one of the most important aspects we want to address when we're trying to improve our life and we're trying to make ourselves more happier, we're trying to find that better place, is our relationship with our body, how we perceive our body and how our body makes us feel. Me being a personal trainer for over 7 years now, I have loads of experience, understands the importance of getting the body mobile, releasing the toxins that we are putting into it on a day-to-day basis, releasing the stress and tension that is kept and contained within the body, and to get up and to be more mobile, to be more active, to release them good feeling endorphins that you get from exercise. So the three aspects of the human being, starting with the physical, the importance of getting up and getting active, releasing tension and stress, and just building a better relationship with our body to feel better about ourselves. The second aspect I want to address is the mental aspect. Now, the mental aspect, if we look at the mind as a memory log, mentally we are our past conditioning. So we are the environment that we've grown up in. So if we grew up in an environment where we experience lack, then later on in life as an adult, and we wonder why we can't make adequate money, or we wonder why we can't get what we want, or we live in a kind of poverty sort of lifestyle, that was always going to come out of your mental conditioning. If you grew up in a relationship or in an environment where you wasn't able to be emotionally available, your parents wasn't able to be emotionally available, and by the time we get into our adulthood we could find ourselves lacking with relationships, lacking with meaningful relationships, lacking with affection and lacking the ability to be open. If we grew up in a violent environment, we could find ourselves being violent later on in life. So mentally we're all different, because mentally we are created by our environment. And we become like an onion with many layers. And by the time we get to our adult life, we've accumulated so many beliefs, thought structures and mind patterns that we take ourselves to be these beliefs. But a lot of these beliefs can be very painful and can be very traumatic to live with on a day-to-day basis, and they do actually create and affect our whole reality. So the second aspect that we need to begin to understand as human beings is our mental conditioning and how our mind has come to be and how the person that we believe ourselves to be has been constructed. When you begin to understand how the mental aspect has been put together and you begin to understand and see yourself more clearly, you can begin to disidentify with the thought patterns and the beliefs that hold you in a lower frequency, that hold you in a more of a painful state and a more painful way of living. So we have to understand mentally, we have to understand where our conditions come from, where our beliefs and mind patterns have come out of, and get into the root. So later on in life we can be so immersed in these patterns and we have no idea where they come from. We take ourselves to believe these, to be these thought structures. So what we have to do is we have to learn to chase back these beliefs and unravel ourselves. And we need to get to the root of these beliefs and we need to pull at the root. As you pull at a root of a belief, you no longer become identified with it, and there's a conscious freeing of that belief. So when you believe in something, you're trapped in that belief. You can't see outside that belief, you operate through that belief, and you're unaware that you're truly identified with that belief. And on the planet we have the majority of people who are living with painful beliefs. So the second aspect is understanding our mind, and the third aspect is the emotional aspect of ourselves. Now again, up until the age of like 8, 9 years old, when we are children growing up, we don't live in a mental concept of ourselves. We live in a very emotional way of feeling the world. Now as a child, you don't have the mental capabilities or capacity to understand your current environment, understand why people act in certain ways. So as a child, if we was to use an example, if we was in our early days of our childhood, if we was to find ourselves feeling isolated and alone or feeling some abandonment issues, then at the moment that this happens, and this could be something very minor, this could be even as minor as a child being left in a cot and that child not being able to get its needs met. And then through that crying there's an emotional release. Now as a child we don't understand how to process these emotions. So what happens is there becomes a split in us. So in that moment an emotional charge, an emotional energy is created within us, but because we don't know how to resolve it and dissolve it, there becomes a separation from it. So if we had abandonment as a child, or we felt abandonment as a child and we split from that emotion, what happens is there is a living piece of emotion in us and it's called abandonment. Now we do live in a world of attraction. You attract what you believe, okay? Whether or not the human race is quite grasped and caught up to this fact, but as our levels of consciousness are heightening, this is a true reality. So we are drawing in situations that resonate with frequencies that are within us. So if we have an emotional trauma as a child and we disidentify and separate from it, in our bodies becomes a living piece of emotion, past emotion. Now this emotion is based in rejection and it's undealt with. Then later on in life this emotion draws in the same frequency. So you begin to experience in your life abandonment or rejection, or abandonment and rejection. The reason you're experiencing abandonment and rejection in your later life is because you still hold this original piece of emotion. And this original piece of emotion is attracting and drawing in experiences of the same frequency. So this is what a trigger is. A trigger, the true meaning of a trigger is something that's happening in your current reality that's triggering a past emotion. So when it comes to emotion, we need to learn how to understand our triggers, because our emotional triggers are our way into understanding where this trauma originated and to release this trauma. As we begin to move the body, as we begin to understand our mental state, our beliefs and our mind patterns and thought constructions, and we begin to release emotional tension within the body, is what happens is you begin to become more whole and complete. And that's what my life is about. I mean, I've been going for a major 3-year transformation now, which I will speak about in later videos, but my life is in dedicating my services to helping other people to become more whole. Depression, suicide across the globe is at an all-time high. And the reason it's at an all-time high is because us as human beings, we don't truly understand our nature. Now I've been given the opportunity to experience myself in a much vaster aspect. And through that vaster aspect, I've been given the ability to observe the human condition. So it's important that I present this information to other people that are going through struggles with mental and emotional struggles. And like I said, the physical is only a reflection of the mental and emotional. So if you find any of these videos helpful at any point, then feel free to share. We'll be doing videos on many topics regarding mental and emotional and physical. I will be offering my services as a personal trainer, as a one-to-one mental and emotional healer, as well as providing other services and information for people to help expand our awareness of ourselves, to make ourselves more whole and complete, and to bring our life into alignment with our higher good. Till the next one, peace!